always little slithers of just show up how you want to show up. How you show up regularly is how people are going to gravitate to you.
I'm extremely passionate about helping corporate professionals transition into entrepreneurship. So I had to share the number one thing that helped me develop as an entrepreneur, and that's the morning meetup. I joined the morning meetup specifically for the structure because I'm leaving corporate America, so I'm used to those morning huddles. We got our sales, we know what our goals are, and we get our day started. So I was missing that for 2 years before I even found the morning meetup. Now, the second thing that I really benefited from was the revenue. Revenue generating activities was not necessarily a thing before 2021. Now, I had my LLC, I had my website, I had a few clients here and there, but the momentum really took off as soon as I got around like-minded individuals and people who really knew the struggles that I was already dealing with, that I could get over my fear of sales and communicating my value and putting myself out there on social media. The friends that I've developed, the mentors and the mentees that I've created relationships with, everything has really created this environment for us to thrive as entrepreneurs. So if you want to develop as an entrepreneur, you're leaving corporate America and you're trying to figure out how do I get my footing in entrepreneurship, then the morning meetup will definitely be a game changer for you. You can learn with us, you can grow with us. And I didn't even mention that we have a book club. Join us in the community. Let's get started today. You will not regret it.
Welcome to the Work and Play podcast. I am your host, Ariel. I think I'm your host, Ariel Young, and I have the fabulous Miss Lauren Parrott here, Miss CPA and CFO, here to join me, share a little bit of her journey, share her wisdom, which you guys have already benefited from, and hear the ups and downs, the turns and the twists. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, I definitely thought we was just finishing our conversation and then we was going on. So all I'm thinking now is like, wait, when is she gonna start this? But I literally just like, let's just finish the thought out and then we're gonna get going. But that's what it is. I love having conversations.
Yes.
They just be flowing. But okay, yes.
Look, I just figured, hey, look, we got a lot of me learning lessons on here, so I know I'm gonna cut it at some point, but we're gonna
100%.
We're gonna get it.
Okay.
So without further ado, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Okay. I am Lauren. You already said CPA, CFO, profit strategist. A lot of people ask me, what's a profit strategist? So I help my clients figure out not only their overall idea of how much money they want, but how are we going to get to it, right? A lot of people are like, I want to make 6 figures a year, or I want to make 6 figures a month. But how are we going to do it, right? And then also a lot of people think that the only reason why they aren't making money is for various reasons, right? I don't have funnels, I don't have ads, I don't have this. When really it's like, your website isn't good, or you don't have a CRM system and it's taking forever for you to send out emails, and by the time you send them their contract, you've already lost them. So I come in and not only does my team handle your whole back end process when it comes to bookkeeping, accounting, policies, procedures, things of that nature. I am overall looking at your business in a very holistic way to figure out, one, what's not working, and two, what do we have to do to be able to hit your goal as fast, as clean, as efficient, and as effective as we can.
And to back that up a little bit, you came from corporate America.
Yes.
And now you're running your own establishment. So what were you in corporate America? What was your role in corporate America?
So I started it as in public accounting. So when I went to school, I was supposed to be a doctor. My mom's a nurse and she told me my whole life, you're gonna be a doctor. We're gonna get this methadone clinic. And so she's still holding that over my head. So I'm taking these classes and I'm not liking them. I'm literally in class I don't feel like life is supposed to be like this. Literally, I was in chemistry 111. Remember yesterday, and I was just sitting there I don't feel like this is life. I just don't think this is
what's supposed to be.
Yeah, why would I do?
Yeah.
I was a freshman. I was just this isn't sitting right with me. So then some personal things happened. I ended up having to leave school, come back. But when I came back, I was like, okay, I don't want to do this no more. I want to do business. Told my mom. She had a fit. I broke her little heart, but she ended up giving me this pamphlet of things, because she asked me, what did you want to do? And I said, money. I love math. I've always loved money. I've always been the person who was talking about money. If we was playing Monopoly, I was the bank, right? I'm not buying no houses. Mama, keep your, okay, you owe me $100. We don't have enough cash. Okay, I have promissory notes. I have I was that person. We played store. Played the register. I didn't play house. So we're playing business. I'm working the register. I used to make registers. So I'm like, money. That's all I know. Right? So I'm reading all the different, things you can do. And I see accounting and I look at stuff. I see actuary, a bunch of stuff. But accounting, I'm like, let me do it. Switched my major, was in love. Read the whole book. We not even finished with the semester. We not even had midterms. Yeah. So when you go into accounting and you meet different people in accounting, they basically tell you what the whole lineup is, right? Okay, so you're going to get your accounting thing. You need to become a CPA. So then that means that you need to have at least 150 credits. They tell you to more than likely get your master's. So basically I was told, I spoke with, and this is why I felt like you need to take advice from anybody, right? A lot of times people feel like that they have to get advice from someone that actually does what they want to do. The best advice I got was from someone that was not a CPA. They were accountant. And they basically, this is my aunt's girlfriend, love her to death, and she told me everything that she wished she would have done. Gave me the whole plan. Literally, I followed it to the T because I can follow directions. So followed it to the T. And so she told me, no, you're going to get your degree in accounting. You're going to go straight into your master's program. Your master's program, you're going to major in something differently because you do not want to be pigeonholed and only be able to do accounting, right? You are a Black woman. We need to make sure that they can place you anywhere. You do not want any type of barriers. So she said, make sure you get your master's in something different. I would try to get something that's dealing with forensic accounting. Forensic accounting is paying the most amount of money right now. And then in your master's program, you are going to study and take your CPA examination. Yeah. Do not wait until you finish your master's. Do not wait until you are public accounting. You will not have the time to do it. And I had a son, right? So I already had a kid. So I'm in college. I have this baby already. And she's like, this is what you're going to do. Follow it to a T. So finish suschool. Ended up losing my grandmother during my master's program. And that just really just made me just grind harder. Because she was such a learner. She was just she read books, she wrote books, she spoke Spanish. She's always spoke to us in Spanish. She was. Was
she Hispanic?
No. She just. I don't know why. I still to this day have no idea what mi abuela. But and so our cars would be in Spanish. You get her Mother's Day card in Spanish. It was just what it was, right? Yeah. And so I was trying to study in my house, and it was just too much, right? I got kids not working, right? So I went to my grandmother's house to study for the CPA exam. When I was in my master's program, I swear I felt her spirit. I felt it, and I was like, okay, Grandma, we got this. We're gonna get this. And so during 2013, I lost her. 2013, took the CPA exam in 2013, passed the exam, graduated at the end of 2013. Went, worked this job where I learned sales. I was just doing something in between time. Found out it was kind of like a sketchy job, so I don't tell people about it. But I learned sales, and I learned sales, and I learned about business psychology. Because a lot of times we look at jobs as failures, when really you were only supposed to be there to gather something. Yes. Right? You were supposed to extract something out of it. So that job, even though it was like a Ponzi scheme type thing, I learned sales. I learned psychology. I learned the difference from. So for example, we sold makeup, right? Sold makeup.
I'm trying to figure out how deep can we go?
Yeah. It was a company. It was a company that was claiming that they were doing marketing for another company when really they owned all the stuff that we was marketing. So they owned it, but they were acting like they didn't own it. And then they said that you would do this. It was a whole bunch of stuff like that, right? Because the investigator in me was like, something isn't sitting right.
Is that why you knew? You knew, but most people in the company didn't realize it.
Because something, the first meeting I had with them, something didn't sit right with me. Because at this point, I have a bachelor's in accounting, I have an MBA in finance, and I have an MBA in financial fraud examination and management. So we were taught by Chicago police officers, right? We saw deals. I took fraud classes. So I already am abreast, right? I'm seeing red flags. Things are. I'm looking for documents. They're not coming up. I'm looking for certain things. Y'all are mentioning certain people, but I can't find these people. I can't see. So that's what that was, right?
Yeah, your spidey senses.
Spidey senses, yes. The Chicago in me was screaming out, right? I'm like, something's not right. But the psychology that I learned from it. So we sold makeup, right? We sold makeup brushes, and we sold flat irons. Okay, so I was able to get the flat irons. I'm like, I could get these flat irons off, right? Not selling no flat irons. I'm not selling no, and I'm like, what? And so we, so one of the team members, she was killing it, right? Linda, killing it. Like, and I'm like, what is it that she's doing? So she sees me struggling. By the grace of her heart, she was like, okay, you're gonna follow me for the day. Love this girl dearly. So I'm like, okay, bam. So I go in my little store, I do my little script, bam, like we have the makeup bags. They're $10. This bag is $10, and then we have the brushes that are $10, and then we also have a deal where the flat irons are only $20 today, right? So I was like 10. Excuse me. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. Like, they looking at me, and I'm just like, okay, come on, what's going on? To practice the script, what's going on, right? So then to go, because what you do is you go business to business. You walk into businesses and you just try to sell, the stuff. You're soliciting, super illegal. Like, you're not supposed to be doing that, right? You are not supposed to be walking into businesses trying to sell to their employees stuff. Like, that's just not what it is. But that's what we're doing. So Linda goes in, super preppy, like blonde hair. She's like walking in like, hi everybody, we have a special today, and I want to tell you all about our special just for you all, right? So now they in it, right? I didn't even come in like that. I'm like, nah, I'm sold. What's the special? We got a special? Okay, right, so now I'm in it, right? So she's like, yes, we have a special. We have our makeup bags today for $20, and you get a free pack of brushes. They like, a free pack of brushes. Can I see those brushes? They don't even care about the makeup bag. Can I see those brushes? They get the brushes. They look at the brushes. But they like, but what? We have another one. What's the other one? If you get these flat irons today for $40, only $40 for today, you get the makeup and the brushes for free.
Yo.
They like, what? They don't even look at the flat irons. Yo, let me see the makeup. Let me see the makeup. Pass that bag right there. Makeup. So if I buy that for $40, I get both of this for free. $40. Let me get my, literally everybody's. $40.
Yo.
So now we didn't left out. She didn't sold 10 flat irons, 10 bags of makeup, and 10 brushes.
But by the same price.
Same price. Because they're like, oh well, I want 2 of the flat iron bundle. I'm gonna just get this to somebody because I want the makeup. I want the free makeup and the free brushes, right? We went to this one thing. They say, well, I don't really like the brushes. Oh, you can also get 2 bags of free makeup.
That's lit.
I was forever changed.
Yeah, that's a whole mindset shift.
Entire mindset shift. So I was like, that's when I learned psychology, right? That business is psychology. And if you can understand the psychology aspect of business, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing anybody can tell you that you cannot do if you understand. That's what I'm gonna say. There's nothing you cannot do if you understand business psychology. So then I ended up leaving there, and I got hired by a public accounting firm.
Okay.
So public accounting is basically it's big companies that do accounting, tax, audit, and stuff like that. I was in audit, so I was an external auditor when I first went into accounting. That's what most people are when they really started in public accounting, because if you're an external auditor, that gets you in the door, basically. So I was an external auditor, and I worked at a smaller firm. So because I worked at a smaller firm, we would get outsourced to other big entities. So I worked with the Deloittes, the Ernst & Youngs, Reuben Browns, RSMs, like all of the big, top 10 to top 25 accounting firms in America. I've worked with them because we would be outsourced on their projects. So I worked on really large contracts for the city of Chicago. So I've audited the entire city of Chicago, the police department, the fire department, the city colleges, the Department of Human Services. I've audited several casinos, right, for compliance things. So I've audited entities as large as like $9 billion, as small as $300,000.
Yeah.
So I'm the person that you call when you want an audit. So when I tell people I'm an auditor, they think of like, oh, you work for the IRS. Don't work for the IRS. External auditors are, you hire us to do your audit. So if you, for example, if you're a nonprofit and you receive money that's $300,000 or more, you're legally required to get an audit done. If you are a business, period, and you receive $750,000 or more in government funding, then you need to get a single audit, which is a compliance audit. If you are a business and you want to get investors, especially large rounds of money and stuff like that, most of the time they want an audit done, because an audit is a firm coming in, an independent firm, meaning that we have no connection with you. We've done nothing in this business, and we come in and we, to sum it up, we assess your books and we make sure, for the most part, they're good, right? And it's called material misstatement. We're looking to see if you have any large mistakes, and based off of how much money you make will determine on what a large mistake is. So your books can have a couple errors in it and you could pass an audit, right? But if they have too many errors, now we're writing you some stuff, and then depending on something, you're gonna just fail the audit, and that's the worst thing. Oh my goodness. And so through that journey of working with smaller Black nonprofits, that's when I started my side business, because I noticed that a lot of the smaller Black nonprofits that we really, really needed in Chicago were always be on the cusp of failing their audit, or like, you know, they would just be messing up in ways that I really just understand why they were messing up. So when I started like really, you know, asking questions and stuff, it was because their accountant wasn't teaching them. Their accountant would do the bookkeeping, they would do the accounting, but they were not telling them, you know, compliance things. Hey, you should be running payroll for yourself. Hey, you should have a file cabinet with, you know, with your information in it. You should be scanning receipts. You should be keeping all your documents. You should be, you know, different things that I felt like that as an accountant you should be telling your client. Excuse me, they were not telling them. So because of that, I was like, it was a need. It was a need, and then also I had a great boss, a partner who just told me just to go for it, because I was getting, you know, people that wanted to work with me, and I was turning them down. And she told me I was crazy. She was like, girl, if you don't get these clients, and I'm thinking it's gonna be a conflict of interest because I'm working for this company. And man, you know, shout out to Kimmy Ellen. Kimmy was like, and Kimmy really taught me a lot. Right now we have other partners, you know, one of my other favorite partners, Tim, you know, he really taught you like the compliance aspect. But what Kimmy taught me was to go for it and to be comfortable in your femininity at work.
How did the femininity play a part in like what it is that you did? Like what was it showing up?
Okay, so basically what Kimmy realized was that with me being, so when I first interviewed for the job, I was dressed, okay, just
not like this. It was even different than that.
I mean, like I got back to this. It was more of this type of essence era.
Okay.
Yes. So I showed up a certain type of way, you know, to the interview that showed you exactly who I was as a human.
Okay.
But then when I went on my clients, I showed up toned down.
Got it.
You know, so I felt like, oh, I need to, you know, I'm young, you know, I'm the minority, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm going to these clients, I'm the only Black person.
Yeah.
Right? I'm on these teams, and you know, no, I had great teams. Like I really enjoyed my work, but it's still psychologically, I'm thinking, okay, is my hair too big? Okay, is my hair going to be natural? Is, you know, there was one time where, you know, my hair was like this. I left the client. It was raining. My hair got rained out. I had to get up super early the next day. So I was like, you know, I'm just going to wet it, get a little fro thing, go to work. And, you know, I had a great relationship with this guy. I'm so glad I did. But he basically was like, yeah, I liked your hair more yesterday.
What was it like yesterday?
It was this.
Okay,
but it got rained on, so then I had to wet it to come in with like a curly afro, right?
Okay, yeah.
You know, and so to be at work and you have comments like that, you know, it was a little whoo. So I started, you know,
I'm still trying to understand, because we say, you know, we so glad that he was our friend, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold up.
No, I'm saying I was glad he was my friend because I knew it didn't come from a malicious place.
Okay, because immediately I received it like, how dare you?
No. It wasn't malicious. So, and that's what I'm saying. I'm glad we were friends, because if we weren't, I wouldn't have. I would have took it like, whoa, is this a, because I was in situations like that where there were moments where I was like, but him in particular, it was innocent.
Got it.
It was you don't even know that this is just what happens to my hair when it gets rained on. I literally told him what it was. He's like, what? I didn't even know that he didn't even. Some people have never seen hair transform.
Yeah.
Right? They've never witnessed
right.
it. So
right. So he just didn't know, and
he thought I stabbed. He thought I made the conscious effort to take all day or something. I don't know, but I loved him. I love him dearly. But basically, because of these little incidents and because of different things, I started not dumbing myself down. I was dulling myself. I was showing up into my clients. I was not dressed how my partner knew I would dress, right? And then also because when I would come into the office with just our thing, I'm dressing like how I like to dress. And so it was basically an incident where I got invited someplace, and she was like, oh yes, and make sure you wear dressing heels. And I'm like, this is the first time she ever gave me, and when I come into the office, I wear dressing heels.
Okay.
But I'm like, why would she make that like distinguishment? Why would you just really tell me? And then, so it stuck with me, but I just showed up like, okay, so you want me to show up like I show up in the office, basically, right? So show up and stuff like that. We ended up getting a contract. We ended up getting like some leads on some other contracts and stuff like that. And when I get back and stuff, she's like, I knew that was gonna happen. And so I'm like, what? And she's like, and basically like without her, that she never directly told me. It was always little slithers of just show up how you want to show up. How you show up regularly is how people are going to gravitate to you.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, so then through that, like how I looked as a first year auditor was completely different than what I looked at year 3. Year 3, I'm coming in like this. Yeah. I'm like, hello everybody. Yes, I'm Lauren. We are ready. We're getting ready to start today. This is. I'm stopping by the offices. I'm just starting conversation. I don't even need nothing from you right now. I'm just saying hello, blah, blah, blah. Every woman is complimenting me on my outfits. Everyone loves how I dress. I'm able to get documents fast. I've built relationships. I have partners from other really large firms personally requesting me for their audits. Like, I want Lauren. You can have another person, but I want Lauren, right? Yeah. So I'm being like personally requested,
right? And
it's really just helping me just feel more secure as myself, because I was dulling myself down at first, and now because of just because of these slight comments that my partner was making, it made me want to show who I was in the office when I went out to the clients. Because when I was with the clients 90% of the time, I was only in the office 10 to 20, maybe 20 if it's a slow year, but I was gone, on site at clients. But no, she really taught me to just really sit in myself. And so then being in public accounting, I'm auditing all these different entities and stuff like that. And I had the pleasure of meeting the CFO of one of my clients, and did not know he's the CFO when I first met him. We met in the elevator, and he just started talking to me, and I'm just like, hey, okay, we on the same whatever.
Is this one of your side business clients or your corporate clients?
Corporate client. This is
CFO of your corporate client.
Of a client. This is I'm auditing now. So this is the CFO of a firm that I'm auditing, right? $1 billion entity, auditing them. CFO. Tall black guy, funny and stuff like that. So we're just talking, and then I realized he was the CFO when I had to go into one of the meetings. So at this point, we weren't going to certain type of meetings. We would go to our meetings that deal with our stuff, but certain higher level meetings we weren't invited to. And so I did not know until I went to this meeting that he was the CFO. And I'm like, I knew I had a flight, because I look at pictures. So I'm like, I thought he looked familiar, but I never had caught his name. So he ended up asking me to lunch. Right, so go to lunch, get permission first, because we're auditing them, independence, partner okays it, go to lunch. Sitting there, he's like asking me all these questions about like what my future looks like and my dream, and I'm just like, oh, I want to be this, and I want to be a partner of this firm, and I'm just like super excited about what I'm going to do in the future, and I'm just like sitting there. He's like, no, no, you're not going to do any of that. I'm just like, I'm not? Okay. what? Like, because when I talk to other people, this is like big. Everything I said, they're like, what? You want to do all of that? So he's like, no. But at this point, he had been a CFO at like, billion-dollar publicly traded companies. This was not his first go round, right? You know what I'm saying? He was the CFO of like a gas company, of a big product company. Now he's over here. So, so I'm not no fool, right? And I never, my feelings don't get hurt. If somebody tell me something, I'm not the type of person where I'm so committed to an idea or a dream that, I'm stuck with it. So my feelings, I was a little bit like, oh, but then it intrigued me, right?
Like,
so
what
that's
am I
not
gonna do?
what, yeah. So I'm just like, so I basically was like, well, okay, well then what do you think, right? So he basically tells me like, you're going to leave this firm. Yep. You're going to go work for a publicly traded company. You are going to work in the internal audit department at that company. You'll be there for a little while. You're going to leave. You're going to work at a different publicly traded company in a different industry and entity. You're going to transfer an internal audit, and then you're going to leave that department and you're going to move to another department so that you can get a better skill set, so you could be a true leader. Literally
within a corporate space.
But then of course, well, see, it was I told him, and he was just saying true leader, period. Because I always knew I wanted side stuff. I wasn't 1,000% sure if I was going to be a full-time entrepreneur, but I always knew that I wanted side things. That was always there. And so he was just saying how, me doing this would really basically add to my arsenal, right? And then him being a black man in corporate, he had a completely different perspective from me. He's like, and one of the things I feel like has been consistent in my journey is people telling me like, if you do this, nobody can say no. Nobody can say you can't do this. Nobody can say you don't have experience for this. So he's like, and then he also told me the main reason why he told me to do what I do is so that I could have a bigger impact on the world. He was like, if you stay at this accounting firm, how many people can you help? He was like, I've helped thousands of people. I've helped thousands and thousands of people. I'm able to make that type of change, right? So he was like, you're supposed to do really, really big things in life. So at this point, I only talked to him like in the elevators and stuff. So I'm like, you don't even know me. Like you don't even know me. And one of the things he said was, because I'm like, well, what makes you think I can do all of this, right? Because at this point, I realized that the big dream that I had wasn't that big. I'm thinking, running like, a multi-million-dollar entity and stuff like that is good, and then working my way up to $1 billion and stuff. He's talking about like straight up giving me like a whole $1 billion plan. Right. Telling me what he feels like I can do by myself. Yes. And so I'm asking him like, I asked him like, what makes you think that? And he just told me based off of different conversations we had. And then also the fact that I was okay with, having conversation with him, approaching him. He was like, being a CFO, a lot of people are afraid to talk to you. He's like, I have staff that turn the other way, they look down, they don't really pay attention to me. He's like, you just come into my office, you just say whatever you need, it's whatever. Like there's no like, oh, I'm this and you're that, right? So just based off of that and different conversations that we had, he just felt like I was thinking too small. And he told me what to do, and I did just that. I left that company. I loved that accounting firm, right? I'm still in contact with the accounting firm. I'm literally like crying in my boss's office because I know I have to do this for myself. And I don't want to do it, but I know I got to do it. So we're literally like, boo, I've never, me and the partner, right? We're like crying, because I know I have to do this. I leave there and do exactly what he said. Went to a public accounting firm, worked in the internal audit department, really help them implement new things, structure new things, really help with the whole developing the relationships, that whole business psychology, behavioral psychology type thing. Left there. Actually tried to be a full-time entrepreneur for a little bit, realized that, to be a full-time entrepreneur, you really need a really good sales background, right? And I wasn't ready to be that uncomfortable yet. And being a full-time entrepreneur had really stressed me out, like physically stressed me out. So then I go back into corporate, was in love with my last company, started in internal audit, and then really enjoyed that, traveled the world with the company. I already was a traveler before then, so when they told me that we was gonna be going to all these places, I'm like, I already got my passy, I already have global entry. Like we don't even literally walk it with like, okay, so I'll see you on the other end. I have global entry. I'm ready to go, okay? You know, really loved it. And then life happens, right? You know, I've had some impactful losses in my life that have showed me how we don't have time, right? So I told you my grandmother, she passed away in 2013, rocked me, like, completely to my core. I'm still not right since then, but really working on it, right? Because before she left, I really felt like that she wanted to lay certain foundations. She gave me orders before she left. She told me different relationships I needed to work on, how I needed to, you know, put myself first, put my health first, right? Because she passed away from cancer. You know, understanding the importance of mental health, right? So she really left gems for me. And then a couple years ago, my mother got into a car accident. This car hit her, totaled it. She started having like physical ailments from it, really messed up her hips. Then my father passed away, and that really like shook everything, right? Because
the top 3 responses that I get when I ask, why do you want to leave corporate America, are that you want financial freedom, you want to own your own time, and you want to build a legacy for this generation and generations to come. Now, this is not a solo job. In order to transition from your 9-to-5 into entrepreneurship, it's going to take community and it's going to take resources. And I've created the community of pioneers who are going to wrap around you and help you make that transition successfully. So if you're interested in leaving your job, go ahead and click that information below. Let's get into the community and let's transition from your 9-to-5 into entrepreneurship successfully. Now let's get back to the episode.
I found myself having to explain to a company why I wasn't communicating more with them during a term of loss, right? And it's like, I love the company, but just something about having to communicate with a company while you're figuring out the burial plans for your father. It was just a little like, I knew then I was never going to be in that predicament again. I said, I will never lose a parent and have to worry about communicating enough with the company. I told you my father passed away. And he was sick. So I had already warned, like they already knew, like, what are we doing? So I was like, that didn't sit well with me. So then COVID happens and everything. I end up switching to a different department. And now at this point, my mother has gotten so bad that she has to have double hip surgery. So she has her first hip done, completely underestimated how much help she was gonna need. Like, cause my mom, she's thick, okay? Like she only had one. Did not understand, had no idea. So when it was time for her second hip surgery, to sum it up, I put my sick time in, you know, let my manager know, like, hey, you know, put my sick time in, you know, my mom got to get that second hip done. And, you know, I really should have took the time off with the first hip, but I didn't. So I think it was just like 2 days. I just needed to, because it was right after her surgery, and that's when she really needs the most help is first 2 to 3 days. And he did not approve it. Did not approve my sick time. Ended up having a conversation with him later. Basically told me that, you know, he didn't approve it because it wasn't personal sick time and because I wasn't sick. And I need to use vacation time. And it did not sit well with me. It didn't. And then there were other things in life that was happening, right? Like personal things that I would never wish on anybody. So I have basically like mayhem going on in my personal life, and I'm just literally just asking you for these 2 days off that I can get because I was internal audit. So I audited this. I already knew it was in the policy. I can legally put in sick time to take care of my mother, and you're telling me I can't?
Nah. It sounds like over the years, your relationship with corporate America has like transformed at different points. Like when I think back to when you started having like nonprofit clients who wanted your help, and Kimmy's like, yes, go do it. And you're like, wait a minute, your identity starts to shift where we are always representing the corporation and that's just who we are, and we feel bad for taking on more clients when we're like, no, now I have multiple clients. So your first, not first, but from what I've heard, but your first like shift in identity in the corporate space was like Kimmy giving you like that okay. It also sounds like your relationship with corporate as it stands with like your identity in terms of femininity has a lot to do with how you brought yourself to work. How you thought you probably had on tan suits, the little Calvin Klein joints, looking real corporate like. And then she's like, no, embrace yourself. So coaching you to kind of be yourself then, and even embracing more of your identity, going all the way to your interaction with the CFO and helping you see that the way you interact, the way you move in this corporate space is much bigger than what a lot of us actually do, is the third notch. But this right here, oh, like I can't take sick time. It sounds like that's one of those like reality checks, or shall I say like camel, what do you call it? Straw that broke the camel's back, in terms of you identifying who am I in relation to this corporation, and then being able to like branch out and truly go out and try full-time entrepreneurship again.
Yeah, and also I don't know if I would have took that jump if my father didn't pass away. I don't know, because when I was in public accounting, we used to work crazy hours, right? Like, they don't really tell you the type of hours. I mean, the average day is 10 to 12 hours, right? And I have a child. So, and then even when you come home, like sometimes on the weekends you're doing stuff. So for, almost 4 years, I was, for the most part, working anywhere between 10 to 12 hours. So then I went to, when you start going to internal audit, now you have normal 40-hour weeks. I'm like, what?
I can get used to that.
Okay, I like this. What? 40 hours? What? I remember the first week we had to do like 47. My manager's like, thank you so much for your hard work and your extra support. I was like, this work?
Nothing. I eat this for lunch.
What? I was cooking for my baby, working on this project. You don't even know. So I was able to get more freedom. I was able to get more time and stuff. But I remember then after leaving public and talking to people in public, and they're complaining about the hours, right? Like, yeah, I had to, this one guy said that during his reception to his wedding, he was working. And I was just like, that is insane. I would not. What? And she stayed with you? I would have never. Like, like what? I was like, but I mean, I guess you know what it was. But I understood, like, it was like we were like brainwashed.
Yeah.
Into just like, it was at one point where it was like, well, I worked 50 hours, only 50. I did 57, 57. I did 72. And it was like, this is insane that we're literally, and I'm just looking at these people are crazy. It's different accountants. They can't pass the CPA exam because they're working crazy hours and they're not able to study the way they need to, or they're not buying the stuff that they need to. And so I'm realizing how all of the little gems I was getting was making more sense. But then my father, like, he, on his birthday in August, he had like several heart attacks in one day. Ended up going to the hospital, got diagnosed with congestive heart failure. They told him, he would be lucky to make it a year. He didn't even make it that, right? Passed away same year. And so, and then it was like he knew, like reflecting back on the conversations, it was like he knew he was sicker than what he was. And, it's just like, you don't get that time back. And you really think like that, time is this and you have whatever. But the fact that I couldn't just work and just be with my dad, and we had our relationship wasn't the best growing up, but we were great, so it's like, we're amazing right now. You're like, we're so good. We're like, come on, like, what? You can't know. Gee, like, we just got, and so it was like and then the way, the fact that I had to, communicate, they're like, we didn't hear from you for 5 days. Okay, well, I get 5 days after a parent passed away. No, you get 3. And you have to get manager's permission for the extra 2. And it's like, at that, because he passed away around Thanksgiving, we were having issues with the death certificate. You can't bury somebody if they won't sign off the death certificate. Like, it was so many things. Like the family is not really helping. Like, my family, my mother's side of the family, like, they're helping. And it was a lot. And so to not be able to just enjoy that time, I was like, I'm not, like, I can't. That whole situation, I said I won't be in that. And then for all of that to happen, and then for my mom's, you know, body to start deteriorating because of this car accident. And now, I mean, now she got 2 new hips. She moving. Okay, she got these. She was just out the other day. I said, girl, you know this. Girl, she's like, you know, I can't wear the high heels yet. You know, my hips. So, you know, like she
out there.
She out here. Okay,
Yes.
she's a new woman. But I know, it was just like I was like, I don't want to feel this. I don't want something to happen to my mama, and I got to think about putting in time. You know, you can move clients. You can move around. So it was like, I was really, I loved my company. I really did. Like but those 2 incidents, you know, the time off with my father and the time off with my mom, you know, it's like I started to think like, what are we living for? You know, how do you want to look back on your life? And then like talking to my father, where he understands that he only has so much time, and I see him processing what he's done with his life and all of the regrets that he has because he thought he had more time. You know, he's in his 50s. Like he thought he had more time. He thought he was going to be able to do these different things that he always dreamt to do, that he pushed back. And then it made me think about, you know, talking to him. It made me think about things I was pushing back, the things that I really wanted to do, right? The things that I really knew I could do, but I thought I had so much time.
Are you doing some of those things now?
100%.
Tell me more. What's
what made
you
me
doing?
jump.
Right?
The first thing I did was I quit my job.
Yeah.
I quit, and the last time I quit my job, I was like not prepared, and I told myself like, Lauren, we're not gonna do that again. I was less prepared this time, but because of COVID, I'm like, my car is paid off, you know, student loans is paused, like, a property is rented. I'm getting, you know, like it's. You know, I'm like, when else am I gonna quit? When else am I gonna jump? And then also, I was studying, right? I found myself, watching a lot of YouTubers and different like YouTube channels, like these different interviews and stuff with people, and realizing that that none of these people had more knowledge than me, more education than me, more connections than me. It was just that they jumped. They jumped. They just took it, right? You know, and I hadn't did that because, you know, a lot of times when you're a corporate, you become so like, you know, analytical, and it's like, no, I have to have this much saved up, and 100% before I can leave in 2 years, I gotta go. And then you have this whole thing, and especially like with my Enneagram 5 self, I was like, like I had researched, I had wrote it out in several different formats. I had an Excel, I had everything, and but the gut. So one thing that I started, you know, with my father getting sick was really it really made me be, you know, sit more in my faith, right? Sit more in my faith and understand that, you know, what's supposed to happen is going to happen, but you have to recognize the signs. You have to understand that, you know, whoever your higher being is, that they're speaking to you, and you need to identify that, right? Yeah. So the thing with my father happened, the thing with my mom happened, you know, I'm watching these YouTube videos, and I'm like, you know, all these people, they just jumped. Yeah. They just did it. And then now COVID, everyone's complaining about COVID, but all your bills are paused. Right? You can't pay a bill because you quit your job. All you gotta do is call and say COVID, and they're gonna pause it. When other time are we gonna be able to do that? So quit my job and literally have just been following the signs. Yeah. Right? Following the signs. I already was working with a cannabis dispensary. Something told me to, you know, just get more, you know, educated in it. Got into this course. I'm like a course queen. I bought probably every course or know someone that bought the course and took it with them. So, you know, it's like
that learner.
I'm a knowledge sucker. Okay. I'm like a leech for knowledge. If you know something, I'm like, yep, tell me more. And what else? And what else? And then so I just love it. So I bought this course, and I'm like, maybe I'm supposed to do this and stuff. And then, you know, time passes, and I get the opportunity to basically, like, you know, work with a cannabis dispensary in a completely different manner than I ever would have thought, right? You know, I'm watching different YouTubes and stuff like that, and I'm like, you know, I felt like these are certain people that I'm supposed to be working with, and now I'm like working with them. You know, they're watching different things and thinking like, I want this type of client, right? I want want this type of relationship with the client and to be able to have that, right? You know, I have a client in London, and one of my favorite clients, the relationship that we have is just so like unique and genuine, and it feels like I'm more than a CFO. Like I'm really like when she's having a hard week, she calls me, and I get her through that. And so to be able to work with people that I've always wanted to work with, to have type of relationships that I've always wanted to have, you know, it was just, I'm just listening to the signs. If something tells me buy this course, I'm buying this course. If something tells me go to this event, I'm going to go to the event. If something tells me DM this person, right? You know, literally the whole cannabis thing just happened from me looking at someone's story, clicking on the name, looking in the caption, looking in their bio and stuff. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they do da 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 da.
Yeah.
They see synergy in what we do, and then we ended up having, you know, a lunch meeting. Next thing you know, I'm, you know, in another state on business, you know, looking, you know, meeting with the dispensary owners. So, you know, it's just, you know, everything, even, you know, how I was able to, you know, meet you,
Yeah.
right? You know, it was literally something just told me, okay, you know, you need to join, you know, you don't have a job right now. You need a morning routine. You know, you've heard about this morning meetup thing.
Yeah.
We need a morning routine, right? That's all I wanted to do. I just needed a morning routine. I needed a reason to get up at a certain time.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know, I like to listen to things on 2x speed. So I'm listening to the morning meetup while I'm walking, while I'm stretching, while I'm doing yoga, while I'm cleaning up, while I'm cooking for my baby, different things like that. But just, you know, just listening, and then like you had said something was like, you have to talk to her. Like literally. And so I'm just following it. Anytime I always say, I think it's like my ancestors talking to me, and they like, Lauren girl, because I'm a little hard-headed. That's what they used to call me growing up. Like, Lauren is hard-headed. And I'm like, no, I'm not. But I was a little bit. But no, I really just take it as like, it's my ancestors. It's my grandmother. It's my stepfather. It's my dad. It's my great-grandmother. You know, they're just telling me it. So I just go with it. I don't question it. If it's like, you need to, like, something about her is gravitating you to her. So you need to just say something instead of, I don't know why. Maybe I should think.
It's crazy.
Maybe I should.
I'm so glad you did. And as you were talking, it reminds me of like how we connected and how we had our first conversation. Now I really remember the DM like verbatim, and we got on the call. And one of the first things that you said to me, like as you went to tell your story, which I hope you can tell this story now, is you were like, you know, people would tell me I have an odd background. Like a lot of Black people don't have this background, is what you said to me. A lot of people don't have this background, and I didn't realize the value of it until now. Now, as we listen to your story, we hear that you're well-read and you're like an expert in like finances from a corporate perspective, from a education perspective, and even from a lived experience. But I know a lot more about that lived experience. But when you said this, you were hinting on like the financial, like wealth management of your family that a lot of Black people don't experience.
Yes.
So would you share a little bit more about like that sense, one, that people say like, hey, you don't have the same background as a lot of Black people, and how you came to that conclusion for yourself?
Yeah, so going back to when I decided I couldn't do pre-med anymore, and my mother asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, money, right? Like it was like clear as day. I was always good with math. Money, like it was so, and so that's because of my grandfather, my dad's dad, and my grandmother. And then my grandmother, my aunt, well, yeah, a little bit of my grandma too. She was a boss as well, but my mother. So my mother and my dad's dad. If it wasn't for them, I have no idea who I would be today. So I grew up, and I just realized literally in the last 2 years that this is not normal, right? That's what I was telling you. So I grew up splitting my time between Chicago and Mississippi. So my grandfather, born and raised in Mississippi, at the age of 18, moved to Chicago, became a Chicago police officer, bought a multi-unit building, and then started just buying buildings, ended up becoming like a developer, started developing stuff. At one point owned like several hundred doors, right? So we would take my grandparents would take me and my sister, and we would be in the country of Mississippi, and where we got horses, we got cows, we got catfish in the pond. I'm like, why we got catfish? I don't know. We fishing. This just a little pond. Like I just didn't understand it when I was young. You know, we don't have cable. We don't have internet. You know, we watching What's Love Got to Do with It 11 times. Because, you know,
that's what grandma got on the TV, and that's who we gonna be watching.
That's the only VHSs we got in the back room. All we got is Forrest Gump, What's Love Got to Do with It, like Temptations, like literally. So that's how we spent our summers. And then one summer I told my grandfather I wanted a horse. So we had because we had horses. And I'm like, I want a horse, granddad. And he's like, sure thing. So I'm thinking like, yup, I must get this horse. No, it was not like that. He was like, okay, so make sure you're up and ready at 5 in the morning. And I'm like, 5? What's going on? He literally goes and takes me to work on a house. He's like, if you want a horse, you need to work for it. Okay. So now I'm like, I'm throwing away the garbage. I'm assembling cabinets. But I had already did this before because my mother redid her entire house with her father because he did rehab work. Okay. So I've already put together cabinets. I've already done these type of things. So this isn't like my first go around. They like, oh, you know how to read the instructions? Yeah, give me a little, can I get the Phillips screwdriver? Right, they're like, you know what the Phillips is? Because my mother was like, look, we are going to put these cabinets together. We are going to redo this kitchen, the bathroom, entire house. We did it ourselves, right? So I'm working for the horse, and, you know, I do, I guess, enough work for me to call this horse my own, even though it wasn't my own. And me and my grandfather, we would talk business. We would talk, I remember he was telling me how he had these 2 large bonds in GM and was telling me about the interest he was getting paid on the bonds. And I was like, what? And then he was talking about how he wasn't gonna, he was gonna cash them out. He wasn't gonna renew them because the interest rate was lower. And then he was gonna use the money to go buy some medical stock. And he just had some medical stock, but they didn't do what they wanted to do. So I just remember being like 10, like, okay, so I need bonds because they pay interest. I don't know what interest is. And I don't even know what a bond is. And I need stock because they just give you money. Like, this was like, so.
That was the mindset.
That was the mindset.
How old were you?
I was 10. I was 10. I was 10 years old. And that was just like what it was. Because also my mother, she always wanted to start a business. So I remember when she wanted to open up this daycare. So she printed out everything you needed to do to open up the daycare. And I read it with her. So I was in like third, fourth grade, you know, 9, 10-ish, when I remember reading like, okay, so if you have kids that are between the ages of 0 to 2, they need this much space for each baby. But then the older the kid is, the less space you need allocated per child. I also found out that if you are a daycare, that you have to have access to a playground, right? So I'm reading all these like rules and regulations and what you have to do to even like get things. My mom, she wanted to patent some stuff, so we was looking up how to do patents, and she wanted to do trademarks. So I'm like at home in Chicago talking about patents and trademarks and licensing, and then I go to Mississippi and, you know, we have cows and horses, and we're you know, building on land and stuff, talking about bonds and stocks. And so I lived in a family where we talked about money. We talked about businesses. We talked about money. Like, you know, a lot of things that people complain that they've never learned and talked about, I learned directly from something like that. The school I went to, we learned business, different stuff. You know, the high school, I remember talking about business. So it was just in me, because that's just what, if you go to the east side of Chicago, any of my family members' house, we're talking business. We're either talking about buying real estate, we watching real estate, we trying to start some new business. My mom still want her methadone clinic. She, you know, she's been in real estate. When my stepfather passed away, you know, he had a will. And he had retirement. He had money left over. So not only was he able to leave money to the family, he left enough for my mom to be able to go and buy her first real estate property, right? She bought this property around 2002. She still has it almost 20 years later, and then ended up, you know, by the grace of God, you know, the mortgage people just like gave her the house. She had stopped paying on it due to like the recession and stuff. The mortgage people just gave her the house. She so she had no mortgage on it, had always paid her insurance. The house ended up catching on fire. She got paid out. Now she's converting the house to another thing, you know. So we always talk business. So I was getting a certification through Cornell University, and so I did a couple of them, but one of them in particular was called like the woman's something, right? So it's specifically for women, right? And so you're like in these classes, and you know you're you have like these like you have to do like discussion boards, and like we have like you can join like live things, and they have questions and stuff. And some of the things we had to talk about was, you know, things that inhibited us. Okay. And so I'm in this course with like hundreds of women, and most of the women are saying how, you know, they never talked business. You know, no one told them that they could be a businesswoman. No one told them that they could be a CEO. No one told them about money. No one told them about finances. No one told them about those different things. And so being in this program, I'm like, what? You wasn't talking, like, I'm literally like confused at this point, like, wait, y'all wasn't talking about stocks and bonds when you was 10 years old? Yeah. Your mama never wants to start no business? Like, my mom wants to start every business. Like, to the point today, I'm like, what happened to all those businesses, Chandra? Where are all the business? She got some of them now, but I'm like, we were supposed to, I had to stop wearing something because she was going to patent it. I'm still holding it. Where are you going to patent it?
I wanted to wear that to that dance the other day.
I wanted to carry that. I had came up with this kind of like bad contraption thing that she stole from me because she was going to patent it. You know, but it was through the Cornell University program, you know, where I'm exposed to all these different women. And the classes were great, but I really was able to understand that I didn't have the same issues or the same like I didn't have the same barriers as other people. And so it was through that program where my wheels really started to churn, where it was like, why don't you just jump? You've been groomed to do this, right?
Wow. This is another word that's telling you to jump.
And so, because, you know, in sales, you learn that someone has to see you 7 times before they want to make the purchase, right? That's the average thing, right? And then for some reason, it seems like the same when you got to listen to it.
Like they've been telling you to go all this time, and now you finally did it.
Finally did it, and have literally been like just going with it, right? I read this book because it was signs. If I see a book more than once, I go and listen to it. So it's Who Not How. And so I read the book Who Not How, and then I also like read this other thing, and it basically said like the successful people just decide that they're going to do it, and they don't think about how it's going to get done, right? A lot of times we get stuck in the how, right? You know, if you say that you want to go out of town, your first thing is, how am I going to pay for it? How am I going to da. But if you just say, I'm going to do it, and then you just book it, and if it's some extra stuff, and you just like, we gonna figure it out. Like it's gonna come to us. So I through the little gems and through the little, you know, the keep sayings of the, you know, I got the, you know, you need to be yourself. People gravitate to you, just be yourself. So now I'm more comfortable with myself to the point when I meet the CFO and he sees this in me, right? And so then he tells me that thing, and then I go see, you know, and then I'm in the, you know, my grandmother saying stuff, and you know, and now I'm in public, and you know, it's just all these little things were just telling me like, you are not really like anybody around you, and you're supposed to go some other place. So, and then I go to the other place, I'm like, and then finally, really with the being in that program and seeing all these women, you know, and I understand why they're afraid to jump, because you didn't, but I don't have any of the barriers y'all have. I have none of them. I have none of the barriers. What is holding me back?
Mindset.
Yep.
I think you're saying like what you're experiencing. There's so many people who aren't taking their jump yet, who haven't taken their jump yet, and then those who do, they shortchange themselves. So like in your journey, not only did you leap, but I can say from just watching you, you're doing it well. Because like some people go out into entrepreneurship from corporate. And I'm only talking about going from corporate to entrepreneurship, where you have a $200,000 education debt or less or more, right? And then you have this experience with working on multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar accounts where you know what you're doing, and then you take this leap, and then you start shortchanging yourself for $27 a package, right? You have literally not only leaped, but you've done it successfully. And so I'm curious, like, I know we got the seven knocks on the door to tell you to get up out of there.
Yes.
And I think over the years, you've started to learn your value as a woman, as a Black woman, and tapping into your femininity. But then when we get to this mindset shift, there's somebody who hasn't taken that leap. So what was it to get, we already hear like what it was that like got you to take the leap. But if I can think about one seed that could be planted, because nobody is going to have like the same experiences as you, what would that seed be that unlocks someone who literally can go out there and do the exact same thing? They just don't know it yet.
I would say what helped me, that one thing that really helped me with my mindset was listening to the people around me that I trusted. Not people that necessarily I knew, right? But like people that I thought were really doing something, and they would tell me something about myself. So for example, I went to, it's about investing in yourself, right? I always have been a person that understood, and because I'm a learner, right? I'm a knowledge sucker. So to me, to spend a couple $1,000s for a conference, I don't even bat an eye. So I'm paying to be in certain rooms with certain individuals who either I mentally think are above me or are, you know, doing better than me in some way, shape, or form, and I can gather information from them. And when those people tell you certain things, you need to listen. And so with me listening to these people, I noticed that.
Thank you so much for watching the Work and Play podcast. This episode is sponsored by the Boss Up Conference, which is a community for entrepreneurs, CEOs, celebrities, and corporate executives to come together, network, and solve some problems. Thank y'all so much for being supporters of the Work and Play podcast. And thank you for watching the Work and Play podcast and all the episodes before. Now let's get back to the episode.
It was people who never met each other were saying the same things to me, right? So when you meet this one person and they're saying something in Chicago and they know you, and then you meet another person in Chicago that don't know you and they say something very similar, and then you go to this conference that you paid to in another state and you meet someone that says something similar, it's like it was still those 7 knocks, but this way it was in a people seeing me for what I do. Because at this point, I was like, I'm a CPA, right? I'm a CPA, bam, right? And so people are telling me like, yeah, but you're not the normal CPA. Like, I don't get, so first people telling me I'm not the normal CPA, right? That people have a certain idea of what a CPA is, and when they find out I'm a CPA, that's not it, you know? And then also people telling me what makes me different as a CPA, and listening to that. And then also people telling me like, you're more than a CPA. I remember having several conversations with different people who told me that I was not an accountant, I was a CFO, right? But to me, I was like, oh, I'm thinking CFO is like a big term, right? I'm like, I'm not no CFO, da da da. So literally it was years before I actually realized like what you are really providing to your clients are CFO services. And so and what made me really like stop lying to myself about it, because the first thing was, it was like someone who was in the industry asked me like, what do I provide to my clients? I told them, they said, oh, so you provide CFO services. I'm like, no, I don't. I just provide accounting. They're like, no, that's not like CFO services. Talk to an actual CFO. Oh, so you provide CFO services. No, I'm just, you know. And so then finally, I'm like in this program, I'm paying for this business coach. They're helping you like restructure your packages and stuff like that. And they asked me like, okay, so the top thing that you do for like your biggest client, what do you do? I tell them everything I do for my biggest client. And they're like, oh, okay, so CFO services. What? So now I'm like, what is going on? And so literally me listening to the universe telling me, because a lot of times we have imposter syndrome, right? No matter, like, I have 3 degrees, I'm a certified public accountant, and I still would have moments where I'm like, I don't know if I have enough, right, to hold myself as this. I don't know if I have enough to do whatever the case may be. But then when you put yourself in certain rooms where you're with people that you feel like are at a higher thing, and you realize that you're like killing it, amongst them, just from like your knowledge, your background, how you can move through a room. You know, I didn't understand, because I'm an introvert. A lot of people don't even know I'm an introvert. I don't know why. I'm like, do you know the definition of introvert and extrovert? Because I could, you know, but because, you know, a lot of people compliment me on the way that I know how to talk to people, because they're like, you know, you're an introvert, I wouldn't expect this and stuff. And so, but I didn't even know that that was a skill set, right? I just thought, you know, I don't know, like, it's just, I don't know, I don't know, just being in Chicago.
Like, that's just me.
It's just,
that's just what I do. That not even you might not even be thinking about it as a skill. You might be like, that might be a quirk of mine. You might not even think about the value.
But it took people to say it, right? Once again, listening, because a lot of times you can't see your strengths, right? You only see what's bad. You only see was, you know, it's kind of like when you put that dress on and it's that one little spot that you can just, you like this one little thing, and then you show it someone, they're like, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and you like, you see this one little thing, they're like, well, you know, we don't see our strengths, we go straight to our weaknesses. So just listening to different people, different business coaches that I've paid, different programs I've invested in, you know, sitting and just being open. I talked to this one lady about how I wanted a PhD in education, right? And told her my whole thing. Once again, someone else is telling me no. She said, no, the entire idea is trash. You need to go, if you're going to get your PhD, you need to get a PhD in accounting. You can find a program that will not only waive your tuition, they will pay you a stipend for you to go to school. Because I'm going back to school. I'm going to, Gucci Mane got this line and say something about got a girl with 4 degrees. I'm like, I can't wait.
I love it. I love it. The balance in you is so lit. And then the fact that you're able to take these plays and run with it, also lit. I am curious also about, like, so actually as we bring this all together and as we start thinking forward, 4 degrees, got your what did somebody say? Boss, bougie, ratchet, classy, bougie, ratchet. What was somebody tell you the other day?
Yes, it was
classy. You know the line.
Bougie. Yes, definitely. That's
but all of those.
Gucci Mane line.
Yes.
Got me. Yes.
Well, one of the things that you said earlier was how the CFO told you that, no, I can see that you're going to have more impact. And on the thousands of people he's impacted, I can only see that extrapolating on your end. So one, what's that 4th degree? And then what type of impact do you see yourself making in the long run?
Okay, so the 4th degree that I'm going to get is going to be my PhD in accounting. I am going to get a PhD in accounting. So all of this is for me to get a school on the south side of Chicago. I've always had a dream of having a state-of-the-art school on the south side of Chicago with the best education, the best products, like, you know, like to learn from, and, you know, great school spirit. I went to an amazing high school. We had a great football program. Our homecomings were amazing. Like school spirit, you were excited to go to Morgan Park. Like in Chicago, like they were like, oh, you go to Morgan Park, because it not only was a school for smart kids, because I got accepted to the gifted program, because I even graduated high school early, but it was just this, Morgan Park was a vibe, right? And I didn't understand how much of a vibe it was till I left, until you meet people and you're grown. Like still to say, people like, you went to Morgan Park? Really, y'all? This is so long. So my whole thing has always been to get a school. And through that journey with me telling various people that I want a school, now I don't talk about it too much because I already know what I got to do. But in the beginning, I would say it and they would be like, well, what are you going to do about the money? And what are you going to do about this? And you know that the number one reason why, like, you know, different schools, especially like black schools, fail is because of financing. So me getting the degrees I got was also strategic, so that once I get my school, I know how to operate it. I understand the accounting, I understand the finance, I understand the fraud, and then the PhD in accounting that's what I'm going to learn theory, and my dissertation is going to be connected to accounting and the school system, right? Because with the lady I met, she taught me and she told me that you can do that what I thought a PhD in accounting was not what it was. And then not only would I be able to go to a great school and not have to pay for this degree, I would be able to research something that's truly close to my heart and be able to use my dissertation to start to get funding from my school. So my whole goal is to build the knowledge and the network so that when it is time for me to start on this endeavor, I have everything that I need, from, you know, people that I can come to actually work it, to people that can help me to come up with the marketing plan. I'm not a person that believes in, you know, becoming the jack of all trades and a master of none. If you are a master at something, why would I take that away? You know, you really know how to connect with people in a way where they're able to think outside of the box and be like, you know, maybe I want to change my career, maybe I am supposed to be in this, right? You know, it's a both. Either you learn what you don't want to do, or you learn what you really do like and stuff like that. So I could just bring you on to talk to the kids. I could have you create a program where, you know, where people, where, you know, if you don't know what the other side is, because everyone talks about entrepreneurship, but who's talking about corporate? Everyone's not supposed to be an entrepreneur. Why would I learn and say that myself when I could just bring you on? If I know someone that's great at funnels, I could just bring them on. So I'm like that with my business now. With my clients, I'm your CFO, but everything else that you need, I'm finding experts for you. I'm bringing them in. You need a CRM system, I'm bringing an expert in CRM system, because I don't know nothing about this CRM. What I can Google is not gonna help me build your CRM.
Yeah.
So my whole goal, and that was one of the last things that me and my grandmother talked about, was the school. We have the name for the school, and so that's one of the things that really drives me, because I'm like, I have to get this school. And now it's not even, you know, because one of the newest books I'm reading right now is The Secret. I already know I have the school. It's not even that I have to get it. I know I already have it. And once I really started feeling like that, I felt like more things have just started just to fall in place. Yeah, because everything is for the state of our school, for Black boys in particular.
Yeah.
You know, when I was pregnant with my son, reading the statistics that, you know, he had a greater chance of being in jail or deceased than graduating college did not sit well with me. You know, it was kind of like, your child is at a deficit and he's still in utero. He's still in the womb. You know, especially with the statistics of being a young parent and everything like that. It was just like, wow, you know, like, because just being a Black woman, you think about Black women, right? I never thought about Black men until I had a Black boy. Like, I thought about Black men, but I didn't think about the disadvantages that they had that were worse than Black women. I did not understand that being a Black woman, it's easier for you. Even, you know, like you know, with the police, right? Like with my friends, I don't let none of them drive when we with each other. I'm driving because I know the chances of us getting pulled over if I'm driving are lower. You know, if you have dreads, you have to sit in the back. That's just what it is. Because if you are a Black dark-skinned man with dreads, you're sitting in the back of my car, because you are going to increase our chances of getting pulled over, right? And this is just what it is. My friends love me because I'm like, I'll take everything. I'll drive your car, everything. But because I'm empathetic, because I have a son and I'm worrying about different things that I wasn't worrying about. Is someone else going to think he's threatening because he's going to be taller, because his voice is deeper, because of things like that. So to understand what these Black boys have to go through to even become successful in this world is harder than mine.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to do everything I can to make my son, to, you know, help my son to be successful. But what I love about legacy and what I've learned from my father's side of the family is being able to pass down something for generations. You know, we have a lot of land in Mississippi. And, you know, and that was another thing that I didn't understand how unique it was until my mother came once, and she was like, I'm so glad you're able to experience this. Because I'm riding on a four-wheeler going 60 miles in the back, right? We catching air, right? You know, we catching air. Literally, I fell off. I done had a concussion. Yes. I've had a couple concussions in my life.
Oh my goodness.
Don't let it fool you. I get adventurous.
Look, we have only uncovered like maybe 4 or 5 layers, but I can imagine there's like 10. So
yes, you know, but my mother was like, wow.
Yeah.
You're able to, like, do you understand? Like, you just go in the backyard to go swimming in your pool and jump off the thing, and then sometimes we get in the RV and you know, and I'm literally going 60 miles driving around. It's a part in our backyard where you can't see nothing. You can't even see the house because you're so far back. Like, not, and I'm just like, it's granddad's house. That's all now I'm older. I'm like, your family don't got no couple hundred acres.
No.
You don't have land in your family for 200 plus years.
No.
And so just like now, I'm like, wow, it's not normal to be an African American and have land in your family for 200 plus years that you can drive 50 miles per hour with on a 4-wheeler, right?
No.
And so I want to give Black boys the opportunity to see that. I want to help them travel. I want them to learn multiple languages, right? My son, he know a little bit of Spanish. He got an A in French, right? We're going traveling. He knows we travel, okay? That's just because one thing about the mind is once you expand it, it'll never go back. It never goes back. And that's why I am, when it comes to just helping people financially, if I drop a gem to you, you're never going to forget it. If you're miseducated about something with credit or something, I'll tell you something. I help everybody that comes in a proximity to me, because when I understand most people don't even get around CPAs. I'm a Black CPA. I'm less than 1% of the population. It's an estimated 6,000 Black CPAs in America out of 650,000 CPAs, period, out of a couple million accountants, right? So to be a Black CPA, I'm literally a unicorn. And then to meet other Black people, most Black people don't have CPAs. Most Black people don't have lawyers. And I'm such a helper that I know you will not interact with someone like me. And because I know that, I want to give you as much as I can while I can.
Yeah. Your heart for giving and knowledge and educating yourself is astonishing. So as I think about like your life, I'm like, there's so many similarities with differences, and I talk about this off camera, but there's so many like ways that we align, and there's so many ways that you've gone this way, and it's like our lives are parallel. I love hearing about your story and your passion for the numbers. I swear, like if I could just sprinkle a little bit of the passion in there, then I think I might be able to roll with you. But I think that is why that's your gift. Like literally, God has placed that passion, not only the education, but the passion.
Yeah, and
for giving that information.
I just accepted it as a gift. I did. It's something that growing up I was very uncomfortable with. I was uncomfortable with people thinking that I was highly intelligent. Because when I was growing up, I was they just called me the free spirit, right? Like that's, if you know anybody in my life that's known me since I was a little girl, that was the term. Lauren is a free spirit. Lauren's free spirit, right? So that was me. I was a free spirit. Then I was in the newspaper for a perfect score on a state exam. And that's when I became the smart Lauren, right? So now people have all these expectations for me and different things like that, and it made me extremely uncomfortable. And then also with loving the math the way that I did, always wanted to be involved with money. I just wanted to count it. Like it was just, I would count jars of coins. If you had a bag full of money, I wanted to count it. And this was my entire life. So now I'm getting older, and people have higher expectations of me for being intelligent. I'm not trying to be intelligent. I just want to be the free spirit kid. But then also, something about like women and money. It was like, if you love money, then you're like a gold digger and you're trying to this. So just different things just made me uncomfortable about my enjoyment for the numbers. I love Excel. If I could just work on Excel all day and talk to people and work on Excel and do some formulas, that's like what? Like,
not when you're a CEO.
Oh no, I'm still doing Excel. Baby.
Oh, okay.
I love Excel. I love Excel. Because that's literally what I do now. I have an entire team that does all of the actual accounting, bookkeeping, the taxes, like they handle all of that. And then I come up with the different personal deliverables that I want, the extra documents that I want. Now they might help me with it. They might start it with it, but there are certain things that I start on my own. Like when I create the profit strategies for my clients, that's me, right? That's me in Excel. That's me digging into it, because that's a joy for me, right? I believe in keeping everything that you love and outsourcing everything that you don't. I love reviewing my client's book and seeing that they didn't spend something they ain't had no business spending. You know you ain't supposed to be buying this, right? Craig. Like, so, you know, but it took other smart people to call me smart for me to get comfortable with the intelligence. It took me to be around numbers people and them telling me I'm gifted for me to just start to accept it. And I think a lot of times the mentality part is that we don't believe our gifts, right? We're afraid of it. One of the quotes that really like took me was that it said we're afraid of our light. A lot of people think that it's not that, right? But really it's like you're really afraid of your light. You're afraid of being, you know, too great, or you're afraid that other people call you great and you think you might be great, but what if you do it and then you find out you're not great?
That's one. I was reading Take the Leap, and a hidden barrier is your fear of outshining others. I had never realized there was a fear, you're not fearful that you'll shine it. I mean, that you'll try to shine and you won't, but that you'll shine so bright that everybody else around you won't shine. Like that's the weirdest. That's people would say, you know, fearful of success. But like you said, when people don't know their light, they're afraid of it.
Absolutely. You know, it literally took me to see how other people, it took me to see how easy things came to me. That's really what it was. Like that's a problem that my son has right now, right? He's in this gifted program and he got in trouble because he's in algebra, he's in high school algebra, he's in grade school and high school algebra, and he was not showing his work. And that was the same problem I had. I would do long division in my head and I wouldn't show the work. But I put the answer down, and now I'm getting deducted because I didn't show the work. I don't even know how to do this on paper. Like it's like,
in my head. I just understand it.
I can just so it really took me to see myself and my son.
Yeah.
And the conversations I have with him where I'm like, you are extremely bright, but your laziness is going to. You can be the smartest one in the classroom and still have an F, right? I don't care if you got done with the test first. Did you get an A?
Right.
Did you fail it fast? Because you could fail and pass in the same speed, right? You know, but having these conversations with him and understanding and seeing how he doesn't even understand how bright he is. My son's been in engineering since he was a little boy, right? He can code. He's built websites, apps, everything like that. He thought he was learning Python. He thought it was super hard. My brother, my dad's son just graduated with a degree in computer science, right? And so he was talking about how hard Python was. And my son was like, it was hard for you too?
You like, well, dang, little boy.
Like, I thought it was just me, and I was 10. So now he's making my brother feel even worse. He's a strong 20-something, and Aiden's like, it was you as well. Who would have thought that both of us would have been struggling with Python about 11, 12 years apart? Like it was just so, you know, seeing other, because I have very bright people around me, right? And also I'm inspired by one of my bright friends. I have a friend, when we were younger, I don't think he knew he was that bright because we've known each other like literally since before I was a teenager. But now when I talk to him and the way that he moves, it's like he knows he's going to walk in the room and be one of the smartest people. And if he's not the smartest person, he's going to be able to maneuver that room that he needs to. He's going to be able to connect with who he needs to.
Yeah.
He's going to make the impact that he needs to. So my friend Abdullah has really inspired me to just accept my gift because he's done so many great things for Chicago so far. He's a doctor at one of the best schools, and best hospitals in the world, University of Chicago. He helped with the development of the trauma center that we have. A lot of people don't know, with all of the violence that we have in Chicago, if you got shot, which is trauma, there was only a handful of hospitals that you could go to. So if you get shot in the wrong area in the city, it might take you 45 minutes to get care, right? And so for him to just be, and it was really like he just knew it was gonna happen. Like, no, I'm going to help spearhead this movement. We need this. I'm for the community. I'm from the community. You know, these people, they need to see me. And just seeing how he's move through. And then also he keeps me grounded, right? You know, a lot of times we dim our greatness, right? Because he was there when I was the free spirit. You know, he's like, you've always been a free spirit. You've always been about your money. Like, just embrace it, just be it. So thanks to him and thanks to different people in my life that I've really seen not be afraid of their light, not be afraid of outshining people.
Yeah.
You know, not being afraid of all those different things. Watching them, I'm like, okay. And then them telling me like, why do you like, you know, when he meets different business people, he's talking about me. You know, he's like, no, I need to introduce. You know, some of my clients I've got through him, right? So being around, you know, not even putting yourself in places that you can grow like this, but having people close to you that are at whatever you want to be. If you want to be a multimillionaire, when a multimillionaire tells you that you can become one, something about it just sparks you.
Yeah.
You know, when you believe it.
I would be remiss if I did not bring this up, because I think we see you as the powerhouse. I see you as the powerhouse, from a CPA, CFO, profit strategist standpoint, from a Black woman, educated, who has a village standpoint, and from a girl who could just like twerk with me and have fun. Like, I love every single bit of it, I swear. But the motherhood journey is something that, like, I can even tap into all those things, right? Like all those stories that you've told me so far. But there's a mom out here who doesn't even recognize her full potential and probably isn't shining. So what's that motherhood journey actually look like when you're raised in a family of such, you know, it's not prestige, it's like substance. That's what I'm thinking of. You're raised in a family of such substance, right? And then you become a teen mom. But what we know is you have literally killed it out the gate, right? So without even reminding us that you were a teen mom, we're like, oh, you did that too. Yes. So what was that journey looking like? What did that journey look like for you?
Oh, well, it started off scary. To your point, you know, I had been in the newspaper, right? You know, as a young girl. So everyone, you know, had these dreams about what I was supposed to do. So I definitely was not supposed to, you know, be a teen mom, right? That was not in the plan. So it was tough, but I already had a goal. And, you know, I knew I was supposed to be doing something dealing with money and making a lot of money. Like, that's just what it was. So when now I'm in high school, I'm pregnant, and, you know, my family's telling me like, oh, I guess you can't go to college, and I guess you can't do any of this stuff. My mother was like, no, we're gonna stick to the plan. We're gonna get this methadone clinic. Didn't do that one. But I had my mother and my friend group, right? My grandmother, my father, like they really came through when it came to watching my son for me to be able to do what I wanted to do. So, I mean, to the point where I had friends that would sneak my son into, you know, the dorm room, right? To watch him while I'm, you know, in class, right? You know, my best friend B, like she literally would have them. My other girlfriends, well, you know, but I remember walking up one day after class and seeing, you know, my girlfriend Bradley, I call her B, with Aiden, you know, just rocking him. And I'm like, why are you not inside? And she's like, well, we got kicked out. It's not supposed to be children inside. So, you know, and she let me finish class, and it was just like, I'm just like super emotional, but I had a great foundation. I had a great village that will watch my baby for me. So with them watching him, I was always a student. I was always into school. But then my mother was telling me, like, you can get all A's. Like, she always kept like, this baby ain't gonna stop nothing. We gonna keep doing what we need to do. It might slow you up, but, you know, you need to focus. So when I first got into college, the first year, my freshman year, a little bit of my sophomore year, I caught myself like feeling like, dang, like, you know, like I'm a mom, but I'm young and my friends are going to the club and I want to go to the club. And so, you know, I'm flying to Atlanta, you know, because my girlfriend, you know, goes to school in Atlanta, and I'm taking these like weekend breaks where I feel like I'm just a teenager, right? I'm just an 18-year-old. I'm not a mom. I'm just an 18-year-old. I'm just a 19-year-old. I'm just a 20-year-old. But then I remember I had a conversation, once again, my girlfriend B, and she told me, like, look, I'm going to get out of school in 4 years. So you need to plan accordingly. You know, I'm going to be gone in 4 years. And at that point, like, I had talked to people in school, but my girl was B. So I'm like, what? Okay, I got to figure this out, right? So I told you, like, I had some family stuff. So freshman year, I ended up having to, like, withdraw the full semester. It was a whole thing. And so now I'm like, I got to catch up on credits. I'm trying to figure out how am I going to get in 4 years. My girlfriend said she's going to get in 4 years. And so at that point, my junior year of college, I had to cut everything off because I could not maintain school, being a 20-something-year-old or whatever, and trying to be a mom at the same time. So I cut off basically my social life, got rid of my cell phone, didn't have a cell phone. You guys call it house phone if you want to get in contact with me. If that, text me on my iPod. And I just buckled down and just really put my head to the ground. My junior year, I took 6 classes each semester, 18 credits. My senior year, I took 7 classes each semester, 21 and 22 credits. I had 6 credits every summer. I was done with my bachelor's program on a Thursday. I started my master's program on a Tuesday of the next week. And so it was like I knew I needed to hurry up because I had this baby. Right? It wasn't that he altered what I wanted to do. It was just the speed. I couldn't play. You know, I had friends that's taking 4 classes a semester. What? I can't extend this degree. I gotta get a job. I have to get, my baby, he has to have clothes. We have to, I was like, I wanted him in a better school. He was in private school. And so it was just different things that I knew I wanted for him because I wanted him to be safe. I wanted to nurture his gift because I feel like a lot of children are very bright and we dumb them down. Yeah. I really believe most kids are geniuses.
I mean, like we dumb them down by making them show their work when they already passed the step. Like, why are you making me go back and show my work when if you could just give me a harder problem?
What are we doing? I tell my son's teachers, like, Aiden is going to be done with his test first. He's going to talk his mouth. So you need to go and have him do something, clean up the school, put up the books, organize something, help a teacher. My son helped everybody in school because he always done first. But I even though the first couple of years of being a mom, I was just like, dang, I want to be young. I was like, okay, this is your sacrifice, right? This is your sacrifice. You're a young mom. When you're in your mid-30s, your baby's going to be in college. You're going to get your life back, right? So it kept just the fire. And then also me wanting to put him in stuff. When he was in private school, that was not cheap, right? How am I going to afford to put him in private school? How am I going to afford to put him in these engineering programs that cost thousands of dollars in the summer? One of my son's summer camp programs cost $6,000. And I didn't want to, people, we spend money on what we want to spend. I didn't want to be that person that spent all this money on myself and I did not invest in my child. So Aiden, my baby, he really, and he's like a grown man now. I keep calling him my baby. Everyone thinks he's so young. He's a teenager.
Right. I remember the first time I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the whole kid.
I know.
The whole person.
Yeah, you hear that deep voice. that Barrett's home right now too. Sometimes he talks to me, I'm like, Aiden, you sound like my father. Okay, can we, but really he's mine. And then also like he makes me think bigger. Like he's like the way he moves and the way he thinks, it's like, why not? Like, why wouldn't you be a full-time entrepreneur and run your own company? Like, you have clients anyway. You run them. He likes to listen to my conversations. He wants to hear my business conversations. We talk about business plans. We have a business plan with him. Every time I have an idea, he's asking what's his cut. He got promissory notes for his uncle. Like, but he's really just, allowed me just to be hungry, right? And to accept it. I think sometimes we have to have excuses to things. Sometimes you don't always want to tell people how much money you really want to make because it sounds crazy to certain people, right? Like when I tell some people like what I really want to do financially, they're like, what? You what? But then when I tell my friends, like people that really know me, they're like, oh, I already knew that. right? And then my son is like, yeah, why not? Why can't we? He wants to, I remember he told me when we're still working on it, you know, different ways to convert different things into energy. You know, he wants to figure out how to make a car fly, and just talk like, yeah, I'm going to make. And that's how we just talk about stuff like, okay, so you want to make a car fly, so what do we need to do? So it has to have a certain type of this, right? Got to float or do some stuff, right? And then he tells me, Mom, it's called this, and then so it's, you know, he teaches me on the terminology. But you know, children and their imaginations. You know, just some of the things that he just really believes that he can accomplish. Like, you just know he's going to accomplish it.
Yeah.
Like, I believe you. You know, he wanted to convert a car into, you know, solar panel. Like, and I'm like, okay, let's figure it out. That's cool. He's really helped me believe in myself.
Hey guys, it's Ariel from the Work and Play podcast. If you're getting any value from this channel, and I mean anything from the tutorials to the podcast to the random videos that you see on this channel, then I just ask that you do one thing. Please subscribe. Subscribe and share this to anyone that you think this resonates with, and drop a comment below so I know what other things that you want to see next. Now let's get back to the episode. That's amazing. I am in. I can't keep saying it. In so many ways, I identify with your story, and in so many ways, I'm inspired, and in so many ways, like, I know somebody's looking at this interview, and they're thinking like, oh my gosh, she did all this stuff, and she's a strong Black woman. But I just want to let y'all know, there have been like 3 or 4 times when we both were like almost here to tears, and we both like sucked them into our eye ducats. So don't get it twisted. In this entire journey, this powerful woman, she still has feelings, she still has emotions, and we definitely like I'm just honored that I get to see like other sides of you as you grow, as you like reach your higher heights. And I'm really blessed that you said, oh, I gotta get to know her, because ever since you have, like, I just feel like, okay, I need to value myself a little bit more, right? Yes. And you've poured into me in so many ways than one. I have to check myself and be like, okay, is she really my friend? Oh my God, she's my friend. And it's funny, like, when people say that about me. So it's like, you have become my mirror, and you have become something to aspire to. So
I see a lot in you what I see in myself. I see, like, I had friends that had to tell me some of the things that I've had to tell you. So it's really just me sharing, you know, things that Abdullah has told me are things that I've told you, right? You know, and not even the exact word, but like some of the concept, right? Sometimes you have to have people see your light, because you don't see it, you know. And because at first it was just hearing you speak, I was like, oh, she's like, this just feels so like in a trance, you know. It was just so like a melody. Like, because I love music. I'm a big music person. My family loves to step. You know, in Chicago, you got to step, right? But just first listening to you. And then I told you, I had, like, the sentence came like, you have to meet her. Like, you need to talk to her. And so I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I knew I was going to have to do it. But then as time went on, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. And then when we had our first phone conversation, I was like, oh, okay, I know what it is. She doesn't know how dope she is. Okay, I get it. Okay. It was really like, oh, okay, that's what it is. She has no idea. Okay, she thinks she's just regular and just living life, because, you know, because nothing's wrong with being regular. Nothing's wrong with being average, right? But I think you know, was what I personally feel like is the most difficult thing is when you are different. When you are an anomaly and you can't identify it yourself. Like, if Elon Musk did not know that he was Elon, like, where would we be at? Right? You know, like, and even Tesla, who he named his company after, if he did not know, if Mandela, if all these different people, and not to say that we are that or that we are not that, but it's just when you look at different, you know, people that have really impacted you in life, and you think about, I'm so glad that they knew that they were that. I'm so glad that Grant Cardone took that leap once he got into his later age. A lot of people don't even think in their 40s or 50s to really start doing that. A lot of people don't even know, like, Grant Cardone, just the Grant we see, he was not. But I'm so glad that he did that, right? So when I think about that, I think those are the type of people that I tend to gravitate to, right? My clients are people who know that they're good at something, but they don't know what they're amazing in. They don't know that they're more of a unicorn, that they're more, that they fall in more of the 10 to the 1%. A lot of people think about economically, right? Okay, you make this amount of money, and if you're under 30 and you're making like $100,000, you're in the top 1%, right? But a lot of people don't understand it when it comes to like just gifts and raw talent and intelligence. And those are the people that I am the most concerned about, because those are the people that innovate. And business and longevity is based off of innovation. And if you cannot innovate as a human or as in a company, you're going to fail. Look at Kodak, right? Kodak was on its game. Everybody had a Kodak. You had a Kodak camera. Look at Kodak Black, right? Everybody has Kodak. But then when electronic, and digital pictures were coming out, they thought, oh, we got 10 years. They had 10 months. Right? They did not innovate quick enough. They failed. So just because if you don't know how to innovate, then where are we going to be at as an entity, as a company? And innovators are normally gifted in manners and ways that they don't even realize is a gift and stuff. So anytime I see people that I feel like has something different in them that they don't even really understand. Like my client in London is brilliant. She's so brilliant, right? But I could tell she did not understand her brilliance, because when you're thinking of being a CEO and stuff, you think you have to be this businesswoman, and she doesn't have a business degree. And it's like, but you're not supposed to. Like, you have a team. That's why you have me. That's why I'm your CFO. Okay? Because I'm going to make sure we have all of that. I just need you to just be this great woman with these ideas, and just keep coming up with the ideas. And we are going to do everything, right? I told you, CEOs are supposed to just be visionaries. And when I can get my clients to just only have to be a visionary, that is when I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
This is none other. This is not like any work and play episode we have done. But I will say this. When it comes to working and playing and working with you and meeting you since then, even to the point where you're like, okay, so when do we hang out? I was like, girl, we could do a work play. We could do a work date. From the moment we decided, okay, so we can work and play together, this is just like the best little, crossover of energy that I have experienced in a long time. So thank you so much for being a guest on the Work and Play podcast.
This is so cool. I'm so excited for you, girl. I didn't expect this. I can tell you that. I'm like, oh, we got lights. Oh, baby.
Got to come correct.
Man, because I've watched the videos. And so to watch it, but then to like be it, it's like, oh, and I think you're such a great interviewer. I told you that when I saw you.
You're a great interviewee. So I'm going to just say, because every time I had a question, the reason I say that is because every time I had a question, you were answering it and you were making connections. So the one thing that I do is like, I'm listening to your story and I'm tying things together. And so you're a good interviewer because you're making connections and you're bridging the gap and through your own story, which means you know your story. Like, and then you know the things that make you you. Like, which goes back to the conversation that we just had, like knowing what makes you you, like being able to bridge these gaps together. Because I'm asking you questions that the only time I get like, oh, I never thought about that, is because people haven't made those connections yet. And so you being able to fly off is because you've already made some of those connections.
Yes, with the help of therapy.
Yes.
Therapy is I have an amazing therapist. I've been in therapy for years now, and I think everyone needs a therapist. I really feel like everyone should go to therapy. You just increase your sessions when you're going through stuff, and you decrease it when when life is great. I meet with my therapist once a quarter. When we in a struggle, it's once a week, right? During my father being sick and stuff, after he passed away, every week, gosh, just but talking to someone, and what makes my therapist so great is, one, she's a grandmother, and the seeds of her fruit, right? When you can see someone's children and see how great they are, right? And see that they're all married, they're all in happy marriages, they love their jobs or their careers, they're and then she's beat cancer twice. Her second bout with cancer, we was actually still having therapy sessions. And I never told me that she had cancer. I had figured it out because my grandmother had cancer. So certain signs, right? You know, their hair starts getting shorter. Then, you know, then they do like a little ball cut thing. Then you get the wigs and more scarves, right? So I was able to see the traits, but still having sessions, right? You know, like it's nothing. Still being an entrepreneur. Right, because she was an entrepreneur, you know, and just didn't miss a beat. So to be with someone that's gone through that, I like to think about people that don't make excuses, because you know, in our life, and that's one thing I had said before, like my grandfather, you know, some of the stuff that he has to deal with, it's like, how can we complain? How can we say, oh, this is hard? This is the easiest time to ever become a billionaire.
Yeah.
Easiest. Oof. The easiest time. And when you really think about it, so talking to my grandfather and talking to my therapist and stuff, she was able to really help me put things together. The way, so I just had to say that. Like you know, 3-4 years ago, I was in the process of trying to understand. You know, I didn't even understand the whole me being afraid of my light because of me being in a newspaper until I had a therapy session. And then it was like, okay, you know, because something always lingers from your childhood, and you move based off of something in your childhood, but you don't ever really remember what that thing was. Mine was when I was in the newspaper. I was in the Chicago Tribune. Everyone's calling, I'm getting letters and stuff like that. And I was in 6th grade and it was just too much for me. And so with my therapist, I was really able to do things. If I wasn't in therapy before my father got sick, I don't know what I would have done. Like that whole, because I had already been in therapy for years before then. So, and I was able to work through so many things with like my childhood and stuff. So, you know, it was, I was beyond blessed to have had her in that moment and afterwards, because literally she's a spiritual therapist as well, right? She'll pray over you. I love someone that could cover me, right? And then, you know, like if I'm having a really hard time, it's like something goes off in her senses and she'll text me and just be like, yeah, you know, I decided to pray over you. Something just felt heavy in my spirit, and I'm just like, this happened and da 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 da. You know, so like therapy is, I tell everybody, go to therapy. My son's been in therapy, right? You know, after my father passed away, because him and my father were tight. Like my father loved my son more than he loved his kids. Like I'm telling you, like his grandson. Oh no, I remember I had my son walk to school. My father called me like, I know I don't see Aiden walk. I was like, oh Lord Jesus, right? Oh Lord and me. But no, therapy. I feel like it's helped my son. It's helped, you know, him to be able to get through. You know, we don't even realize what some of these kids deal with when they have a loved one like that pass away. Especially, you know, my father picked them up took them to school every day, picked them up from school every day, went to his Christmas things. Anything I needed my father to do for my son, he would do it.
Yeah.
And so therapy has been great for me. It's been great for my son. So no, I tell everybody, get a therapist, get you some therapy.
Yes.
Get you some help, especially as a Black person. You know, you need it. I read this book called Black Trauma. And I understood that that a lot of the things that we deal with, we never handled. And I don't think our generation has nowhere near as much trauma as our previous generations, but we have the trauma passed down. And we don't understand it. Like my grandmother, my mother's mother, she did not like non-Black doctors. She just didn't vibe with them. Never knew why. But then I found out that when she had her first C-section, it was by a Black doctor, flawless. You couldn't even see the scar. The second doctor she had was a Caucasian man. He looked at the stuff, was like, oh, this is a great who did it. She told him who the doctor was. She came out of surgery from having her next baby and she was butchered. She was butchered. So her fear is real. She doesn't know if he did it because the previous doctor was Black. She didn't know if he did it because she was Black. She was a dark-skinned woman. You know, she didn't know what it was. So, you know, understanding like some of the traumas and stuff that my grandmother and my grandfather had because they are dark Black people, right? You know, and understanding that there is a such thing as light skin privilege, right? I know that white privilege is real because I have light skin privilege, right? And understanding that I'm not going to get pulled over as fast as a dark skinned man, and that people aren't going to be as threatened by me because I'm not dark. My mother's dark. My dad's dad is dark. My mom's mom is dark, right? So understanding like, wait, we get followed when I'm with this family member, but we don't get followed when it's me and this family member, and both of us are light, and they're, you know, understanding that, but really, you know, going through therapy and keeping people in my life that have had way worse. It's like, I can't complain. I think too many people surround themselves with people that complain, and you know, just like hearing some of the complaints that people make about, you know, trying to become a millionaire and doing different things in life. It's like, do you know what? And not even like, let alone ancestors, because, but it's like your grandparents, what they had to go through. It's insane. What my grandfather had to go through just to get the land back, you know, from, you know, that because the family was selling it off, and some of the people didn't want to sell it back to him because they said that you a black man, you got enough land. You real greedy to be a black man. Right, and not in those words, because we talking about the Mississippi. Right. So, you know, and he did it. My grandfather is 96, 98. One of them. I just saw him. He'll kill me if you know. I can't remember. Hey, granddad. Not one of them. What was it? 90. He one of those. 96, 98. And he not trucking. I feel like people, this new generation, they act like they have more trauma than my 90-something-year-old grandfather from Mississippi. Mississippi, you know. And so that's why I like to just surround myself with those type of people, because I'm like, this is nothing. Like, yes, we have trauma, that's why you need to go to a therapist, but you really need to go to a therapist to get it out. Because a lot of times we don't get it out, we just hold on to it. And you just need to get it out and just move on. And I just think about what my ancestors had to go through, what my great grandmother had to go through to get from Alabama to Chicago, what my grandfather had to go through to get from Mississippi to Chicago. And they own properties, and, you know, and understanding like they own properties when blacks, at first it was illegal in certain places to own property. You know, a lot of people don't even realize it was just a couple of decades ago, women couldn't even have credit cards. We had to have men sign off for us to, you know, get different things. Not that far, right? And so talking to my great grandmother about these things, right, about how she needed a man to do certain stuff, and then she figured out a way to do what she had to do to support her children, right? For my grandfather, he had some things where he felt like people were trying to hold him back, so he started LLC because a hippie CPA told him what he needed to do to, you know, to get what he needed to get done and to build it up and to go around it. So I always think about those people. Anytime I feel like, oh, this is hard, I feel like quitting. You know, everybody has those days. You're emotional. I don't even want to do this anymore. I'm not built for this. And you're like boo-hooing. I like to cry in the shower because I don't feel like you're crying, right? You know, you just put your face underneath the water. I'm not crying, right? But you know, but then I literally be like, if my grandfather saw this,
what would he say?
What would he say? Like, I remember I had this conversation with my mom, I just had a moment. Because, like, when stuff happens first, I get overwhelmed. Like, and I'm talking about, like, you know, something unexpected, like my transmission went out on my car. Or, like, my brother got into a car accident when I was trying to do things after my father passed away. And it was just, like, very high stress situation for me. And I called my mother because my mother's just like, girl, if you don't stop, if this is bothering you, this ain't for you. Straight up. And I'm like, I'm just having a little moment. And, you know, so but just thinking like, okay, like, this isn't
that bad.
This ain't.
It's not going to kill me.
It's not going to kill me. It's not going to hurt my children. Right? It's not going to. Like, some of the things that my grandfather did, both of my grandfathers did, they could have lost their life. They literally could have, you in the wrong neighborhood, you talked to the wrong person, you would have got bam. Like, people think now is bad. Like, what? You know, so I like to keep people around me that remind me of that. And also people with good energy like you Like people were like, you can't get around you and complain. Like that's not even your spirit. Not even I feel like that you're gonna say something about me complaining, but just your energy is like, what's wrong? Like let's do some Zen. Let's do some yoga. You wanna like let's meditate, and then we're gonna eat some good food and we're gonna do some work. And we're gonna come up with some goals. So what are we doing today? What do we have to accomplish today? What's on the thing? You can't. So like people can't complain around me, cause I'm a problem solver. Oh, you hate your job. So when are we gonna quit?
Yeah, like let's figure this out.
Okay, so we don't want to quit. Okay, so when are we gonna move departments?
Literally, if we're not talking about solutions, what are we talking about?
Yeah, Enneagram 5s don't do small talk. I realize, and that's another thing.
I gotta go back and get
personality
mine.
test.
Yeah.
Taking the DISC examination, taking Enneagram 5.
I love the
Enneagram
strengths.
test.
I like strengths. Yeah.
Like you have to, but I like the Enneagram one because a lot of times I felt like people used to make me feel bad for wanting to be by myself. Right, to needing alone time, to not doing small talk. I thought like they really made me feel bad. Like don't text me, hey, please, Lord, give me a full something. Hey, what am I supposed to do with this?
Literally, I gotta check mine. Yeah.
Hey, like no, I need what do you want me to say back? Hey, and you're gonna say what are we doing? No small talk. But Enneagram 5, like I was able to read it and listen to it and send it to my friends and be like, hey, if you want to know why I move like this and act like this, it's called Enneagram 5. And it makes sense. Because I was learning about it. I'm like, this is me. This is me. And understanding what you look like when you're unhealthy. Understanding what you look like when you are healthy. And being aware of that. Being honest with yourself when you feel yourself getting depressed. Because of different things. When my grandmother passed away, I was depressed. Had no idea, right? There was another time in my life when I was depressed, but because I was able to identify the first one, I was like, I think I'm going in a little depression, right? And then I know the difference from being sad and not being depressed because of therapy, because of these examinations, because of strength finders, because of all these different things. I was able to become self-aware, and I remember finding out the statistic where it was like around 85% of people think that they're self-aware and they're not. We don't really know ourselves like we think we do, and also to be unapologetic about it. That's why I love certain people. Like when you see certain people move, and Dave's one of them. Like
he just knows.
He knows what, and it's just and it's like this is me. Like I know how I need to move, and this is that. My mother's like that. My father was like that. Like Steve, baby, like. He knew what it was. I need to come. I'm only gonna be there a short period of time. I'm gonna get my plate. I'm gonna get my beer. I'm gonna leave. That's it. I don't mess with y'all people like that. I'm gonna go on my Mustang. I'm gonna speed. I'm gonna, and it's just like unapologetically show up as themselves, and then it works. You see it work.
Yeah. Ain't nobody else to be but us. Listen here, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to my beautiful guest, Miss Lauren Parrott, for dropping so many dimes, wisdom, and nuggets on us for us to take back, do some homework, and do some work on ourselves. I mean, did you think you were going to get some Iyanla today? Because we definitely got some, plus more. But anywho, if there's someone out there who's watching our interview and they connect with you in any way and want more ways than one, and they see themselves in you, how can they get connected with you? How can they reach out to you?
They can find me on Instagram. That is my thing right now. Never had a website. I had a website once, and my client told me he wouldn't have hired me if he had seen that website. So I was like, let me get rid of it. He's like, my director of operations gave me this. I wouldn't have booked you. So yes, Instagram, ITS Lauren Parrott, 2 R's, 2 T's. Yes, literally just go on my page. You can DM me if you want to learn more about my services. You can book a consultation directly in my bio. But yeah, I have a workshop coming up that if you want to do a workshop, I have a lot of things coming up, in the pipeline.
Okay.
Now that I have the time and I'm a full-time entrepreneur,
yes.
I'm just repackaging a lot of the information I've just gained. And yeah, so yeah, just Find me on Instagram.
Yeah, well, I know you guys are really excited for whatever she comes out with. And by the time it does, there will be a link in the description so you can actually cop that for yourself and get some of this growth, get some of this level up in your business, and get some of this wisdom, okay? So thank you again for watching. Thank you for listening. But until next time, peace out. You guys be blessed.